And welcome back, everyone, to It's After Hours, only on It Is the After Hours YouTube show. Now, join me on the line is this young lady here. Well, we are always smitten with her because she's not only just this hot, sexy, curvy redhead, but she has brains to boot. She's outspoken, and if you don't like it, well, that's your problem, not hers. I give you the voluptuous, the intellectual, and well, the hardest working lady I know in this business. I give you it's Miss Siri Dahl. Siri, let's start off here with a big question. How
Yeah.
much did last year just drive you crazy? Because knowing you, you're always on the go. You're shooting your content, you're doing your clips, you're networking and all that. When COVID hit, that must for you have been like literal hell.
Yeah, I mean it sucks ass. Like it's just like I think the thing that makes it or has made it easier is knowing like everyone's in the same boat, you know? It's not like being inconvenienced and not being able to travel as safely or as often is and I have traveled over the past year, just like I've literally had to for my job, but I definitely cut down on it a lot. Uh and I ended up driving out to LA a couple times instead of flying, which is crazy. That's like a 2,000-mile drive. Um So yeah, it helps just knowing that like everyone else is having to deal with the same bullshit as me.
So I got to ask about that. The 2,000 mile drive. I mean, most people
Yeah.
just like you're sitting there, it's like, all right, I hate driving like 200 miles, let alone 2,000 miles. What the hell? I mean, how,
Yeah.
how how did you get through that?
So the first time I did a road trip out to LA and back was in July of last year. And that honestly, it wasn't bad. It was a solo road trip and I have a convertible. So I drove my convertible out there and whenever I could, I would have the top down. So I was kind of like Thelma and Louising it, but by myself. And it's a gorgeous drive. Driving from where I am in Kentucky out to LA. If I take the slightly more northern route, I'm driving through like the Rocky Mountains. Like I go directly through Denver and then Vail and then drive through Utah and Arizona. So I'm driving past like all the really cool, like all the neat rock formations in the Southwest and stuff. And it's actually kind of a treat. I liked it enough that I didn't really mind doing it a second time back in January. That trip was much colder, but it was still beautiful.
Yeah, I was gonna say when it's all fun and games when it's springtime, summertime, you're driving top down. When you're doing that during the wintertime, yeah, not really that much fun.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah, and not to mention in the January road trip, my boyfriend came along with me and we camped all the way out on the way there, instead of staying at hotels. And it was very cold, very, very cold camping.
I gotta ask, did that
Out in
nearly
the
end the
middle of nowhere
relationship?
in the desert.
I was gonna say, did that nearly
Oh
end the
no, not at all.
relationship when you're sitting there like, you really wanted us to camp, didn't you? Really had to insist
Not
on
at all.
camping.
I mean, the camping was my idea. Like
Oh, so he must have been like,
he was
you
into it.
really had to insist on camping, didn't you?
He it worked, honestly. Like we didn't really have any issues. It was just cold. So like, like I made him do most of the cooking because it had to be done outside the car. And I was like gonna die if I had to be out in the cold that long. But he's like a furnace person. He's very warm all the time. So I was like, I know you can handle the cooking. Like you please do that so I don't die. It worked out well.
So let's talk about that. I mean, and you seem to be very much in love with him. Congratulations, by the way.
Hmm.
How does it work? Because you're a busy woman, so you're doing, as I said, I'm looking at your profile just alone, and it's, you shoot a lot for a lot of companies. You also have your own website. You have a Siri Dahl fan club. You do Twitch. You do your own podcast. You have, you do canning once in a while on a blue moon. I'm guessing you shoot for your own stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, how tough is it sometimes just taking a break when you're on a go all the time? I mean, you're trying to make money, so for you, it's I got to work, every day of the week, and I don't want to take time off and
Pretty much.
have lose out on money.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's literally like I usually have so many plates spinning simultaneously that I like get burned out and I try to force myself because I was going like just at 110% for a year straight, and just over the winter, around the holiday season, I was like realizing, wow, I'm so burned out. I need to slow things down a little bit and like allow myself more rest. So that's definitely something I've gotten better at. I try to take a scheduled day off, or even two if I can afford it, every week. And usually one of those days is like a day that I spend entirely with my partner. But we see each other quite a bit. We make it work. I make sure that I have time for him.
Now, other congratulations. You've been doing a lot more acting here. When I say acting, I mean, I noticed you've been shooting a lot for Bree Mills and her group, Pure Taboo.
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of stuff with, I forget the name because I know I've it's off the top of my tongue. We'll get back to him. First, I'll start off with Pure Taboo. How much do you enjoy that, where it's not just sexually stimulating, but mentally? Because it's like, all right, this is deep crap. This is, she's
Yeah.
getting me places here. I actually have to act for this.
I love it. I love it. There's, I think, in porn, there's generally you could probably divide a lot of porn performers into people who really enjoy acting roles and are into being on set in that environment where you're not shooting a gonzo scene with little setup. You're shooting a scene where you are either memorizing lines or improving lines but delivering them in character, so you're still acting, which is kind of the way that Pure Taboo is filmed. And I love that. Like I've always loved that as a theater geek in high school. So like, the acting portion of those types of scenes really like satisfies a different part of my creativity. It's a lot of fun for me to put on like these different hats as characters that I get to play. And the stuff that I shot recently for Pure Taboo, like a 2-part scene that I did is like where I play the same character in 2 scenes, but there's like kind of a story arc across the 2. And the character I got to play was like just an anxiety ball, like losing her shit, like freaking out constantly. And it was a lot of fun. Like I feel like the whole 2 scenes, I felt like most of the time my face was just in this permanent like this afraid or like scowl face. It was a lot of fun.
Now that's not like you. So how did you get into the character then when it's the opposite of you? You're this very chill sort of, all right, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna adapt and overcome. I don't care. It's just the way it is. I mean, how did you get into that sort of panic frenzy, as you call it, where it's like, oh my God, she's having a
Oh,
nervous
it's
breakdown
easy to
any
get
moment now.
there. Oh, it's very easy to get there. The chill is what I present to the world, but the heightened anxiety is what's going on inside me. Probably close to 50% of the time. Like a solid half of my life I spend in like an absolute anxiety like mode. Like, just I just hide it really well. It's
If
probably
you
because
just
I'm a Gemini. I just hide it so well.
if you're just tuning in, once again, we got Siri Dahl here. We're talking all things, of course, Pure Taboo. We're talking road trips. We're talking COVID. Let's talk just Twitter here, and
Yeah.
you get deep on stuff. You and I are on the opposite side here of politics. You're, as you said, a socialist liberal. I am a ultra conservative. We do get along, weirdly enough. But there's how many people sometimes try to talk you out, going, "Oh, don't comment on this. Just be pretty and just send up nice nude pics." When you know how it is, people get just all lathered up when you talk politics. One side's upset,
Yeah.
the other side's ready to declare war. How many people, like, close in your inner circle, said, Siri, maybe you should just lay off the politics?
I would say no one in my inner circle has ever said that to me. I definitely get fan comments when I post something on like Instagram, or not so much on Twitter, because I feel like I just have a smaller following on Twitter. I only have like 174,000 Twitter followers. So like most of them are pretty diehard, I would say, that actually like pay attention to my tweets. So when I tweet things like that have any political tone to them on Twitter, like I almost never get people like really um pushing back or seeming to be upset about that. But on Instagram it's a different story, because I do have 500,000 followers over there, and Instagram's just a different platform, and there's just more trolls on Instagram in general, I find, than like almost any other social media platform. TikTok has more trolls than Instagram, but that's a whole different story. On Instagram, whenever I've post political related things, it's kind of hilarious the number of comments that immediately sprout up that are just like, stick to your day job, honey. Like, no one follows you for your political opinions. We're just here for titties. And I'm like, well, so I can't post my titties on Instagram. So if you're claiming to be here for the titties, you're not going to see them here. You can subscribe to my OnlyFans for that. And I just kind of ignore them. Like if someone posts a really like gross, demeaning, salty comment, I will just delete it and block them. Like, because I usually do read through comments on recent posts. But yeah, it doesn't really like change the way I see anything, and it doesn't upset me on any level, because it's like I'm fine with my beliefs, and I don't feel the need to like shove them down anyone's throat, but I'm also not going to hide them just for the sake of like comforting strangers on the internet that I don't know personally. So, I mean, there's always going to be people who diminish the opinions of sex workers just because we are sex workers. And in my mind, it's like the joke's on them.
Let's talk about and I hate to use the term, but it's sort of the upcoming war that you and a lot of sex workers are facing. Twitter's getting more, let's say, mainstream. OnlyFans, they're going mainstream. They've been starting to kick off porn stars here and there, accounts getting deleted. They want big money. They want that big cheddar. You're somebody who counts a lot on social media. That's how it drives your business. So how do you keep one step ahead of this? How do you avoid, just getting caught with your pants down one day and realize, oh crap, I've lost my OnlyFans, I've lost my Twitter, all because, just some idiot, with maybe 5 followers complained, and well, next thing you know, you're gone.
Yeah, it's something that unfortunately I think a lot of adult stars are used to, is just being deplatformed. It's like, usually what happens with these new platforms, as with OnlyFans, is like this new platform crops up. Sex workers are usually the first. Sex workers tend to be very early adopters of new technology out of like necessity. It's like when something new pops up, we are like, oh, let's use that because we can use it to connect with people and with our fan bases before they have a chance to like ban us. So, and I can't speak because I was actually still retired when OnlyFans first started, but I mean, from what I understand of the development of OnlyFans and how it's become so popular, it's like it really was populated by sex workers and popularized by sex workers. And most of the money generated on that whole entire platform is still being generated by sex workers, whether OnlyFans admits it or not. So in my opinion, I'm not going to say that they would never ban sex workers or ban like nudity or XXX content on OnlyFans. I definitely see them like tightening that up further and further, like they already have. In order to post any photo or anything in your main feed on OnlyFans with another person, the other person in the photo has to also have an OnlyFans account. You have to tag them, otherwise your account will be deleted. Which is actually how a lot of these porn star accounts have gotten deleted, is like they may not have been aware that they did something against terms and conditions, but maybe they did, and that's why they got kicked off. And I've been pretty safe on OnlyFans because I've been really, really careful to tag everyone and to abide by the terms and conditions that are there. But it's still like, we can never assume as sex workers or porn performers, we can never assume that we're safe from being banned or deplatformed. It's like, absolutely not a guarantee in any regard. It's not even when OnlyFans is owned by the same company that owns My Free Cams. That doesn't guarantee us any sort of safety. It sucks, but like, I mean, my plan is, I'm going to keep doing the way that I currently do them. I'm going to do everything the same way, but I am building up my content library on other platforms similar to OnlyFans, like competing platforms, so that if something happens and I get deplatformed there, I can just connect with my fans and say like, hey, let's all move over to this platform. It's also why I started a Discord server, so I can be in connection with my fans regardless of social media outside that. And I've been like posting the link to that in my OnlyFans, and when I Twitch stream, I share the link to my Discord. So I'm trying to get as many people as possible to join it.
Last question before we let you go. I don't know we're pressed for time here.
Yep.
You are always busy. Do you ever get upset with just the way that you guys are treated? I mean, I look at here, you have a very famous song by Megan Thee Stallion and, of course, Cardi B, WAP. And when they performed it, that was basically a sex act on, literally on CBS. That's considered art. What you do is considered pornography. One is looked at as, oh, they're trendsetters. You're dirty porn stars. Does it ever bother you the hypocrisy of just you get tested, you're clean? Last time I checked, Siri Dahl is not throwing full beer bottles at bartenders and getting arrested for it, and yet you're vilified. And Cardi B's like, oh yeah, she's all over the place. And politicians will meet it. Does it bother you about this double standard sort of in the entertainment industry and in the sex industry?
It's annoying for sure. Like, it's the Cardi B thing, and I mean, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion definitely got a lot of pushback for that song. So like, it's not like they were unscathed from that. But like, also when you're a pop star or a famous rapper and you get pushback, it just generates more publicity, and your song's probably just going to do better because it's that controversial and people are like, oh, I'm curious about this now. So it's like, yeah, they get pushback, but it's not necessarily hurting them in the long run, or it doesn't seem to. Where it's obviously different with sex workers, like the article that went out accusing Pornhub of allowing illegal content on their platform, then within like 3 days resulted in payments being suspended from Pornhub back in early December. And like, even since then, no one gets to make money on Pornhub now. Like, I went from having like $2,000 of sales of just video downloads that people bought on my Model Hub store to zero. Like, it's like a chunk of my income would just immediately disappeared overnight. And that's just because people who don't understand how the industry works are saying, oh, Pornhub's profiting off of like child trafficking and stuff, where it's like, no, they're not. That's user generated content that's getting uploaded by anonymous people. And like, they already fixed that because they totally banned anonymous uploads from the whole website. But are they going to get their payment processing rights back? Probably not, because once the damage is done, these financial institutions, credit card companies, people who hold power, politicians, they don't want to give it back. Like, there's just a lot of deep-seated hatred and fear of sex workers in our culture. And it's literally like, it's about sex as well. Like, obviously you see the pushback against any popular song that's like sexually explicit. There's always pushback, but like, ultimately it's more accepted because it's in this separate dimension seen as like art or performance. Whereas anything that's hardcore or involves actual real nudity that is only for 18 and up is like considered, degrading and wrong and against all of our culture's values. And like, people always talk about like Christian values with all this stuff, and it's like, none of that is even, I don't see how it's related. I was raised in a Christian religious household, and I was never taught to fear and hate sex the way that so many people seem to have been. So it's just like it's just an annoyance to me. It's a massive annoyance, and it's a danger.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, I give you, as I said, she is not just beautiful, but she's intellectual. I give you a wonderful, but talented, but lovely, but hardworking Siri Dahl. Siri, before I let you go, where can fans check you out? Where is the Twitter page, Instagram, the website, your OnlyFans? Like, where is all this stuff that people can check you out at?
First, go to my main site, which is www.siridahl.com. You have to type in the www, otherwise it'll give you something that says like not a secure site, and I'm trying to fix that, but it's tough because it's like a redirect URL. But siridahl.com. And then on Twitter, I'm the real Siri PS, and on Instagram, I'm the real Siri.ps.
Siri Dahl, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are proud to have her on the show. We come back. Check out more interviews coming up, as I said, in the next couple of days, only on, it is After Hours, only on the After Hours YouTube channel.